Hello, my name's Rob and welcome to Swift Slots. So a few videos ago you might have seen that I bought myself a nice shiny new DS hand controller from the Gaydon Slot Car Winter Market. It's to replace my trusty old 60 ohm Palmer controller, which in the recent months has just started to get a little bit sticky at the beginning of its travel. It's a real pity because this has been an absolute monster of a controller over the years. I love it to bits, but nothing lasts forever. Time for a new one, nice and smooth. So I was very lucky to get this one because it's clear. Now, as many of you know, these are offered in multiple colours and they're not always available. So this clear one was a bit of a bonus because I got a plan for it. So in this video, I want to show you my plan and we'll go to the bench right now and execute that plan. So there we are, one nice pair of clean, clear DS shells, all ready to go. Now, why would I want to pull my brand new controller apart? Well, it involves these, and it involves this. And that's right, my DS controller is going Gulf Racing colours, only in the handle, and it will blend up into the top and just fade away, so I can still see all my bits and bobs for maintenance and just general looks, because I like the fact that you can see all the parts. Just the handle is going into the Gulf Racing stripes, and to get my stripes, here is my sample, and to get the orange I'm going to be using 2 parts orange 59 Mr. Colour and 1 part white number 1 Mr. Colour, and to get the light blue I'm going to be using 1 part 323 light blue Mr. Colour and 1 part number 1 white Mr. Colour. So it appears to me that Gulf Racing colours aren't particularly specific. All my slot cars that are in Gulf colours are all slightly different. All the blues are all over the place. All the oranges are all over the place. And I think this combination here is pretty nice. It just about sort of covers the whole range of colours that I've got over all my cars. So I think these are fine. If this blue ends up being a little bit lighter, that's fine. Same with the orange. It doesn't really matter. So what I need to do now is work out exactly how I want my stripes to go on the handle and start plotting it out in masking tape. So let's crack on with that. And there we are, 2 masked up set of shells ready to spray the black on those lines. I would love to have used cling film to do the bulk of this masking, but I just can't find my cling film, which is incredibly annoying. So cheap masking tape and frog tape is the answer of the day. Right, let's get to getting some black on. And there you go. That's the beginnings of our Gulf livery, and the black lines don't line up too badly. Right, let's move on to another colour. Okay, so the keen-eyed amongst you may have noticed that I've done something rather silly. I've actually forgotten to key this plastic and blend it up to here so that the paint adheres to the plastic. Now I've used Mr. Colour solvent paint, so I'm hoping that they'll just bite in anyway, but really ought to be sanded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully go in there and try and sand around my painted lines and do a little bit of sanding up here and blend it up, and then hopefully that'll be okay. Certainly all the rest of the paint will grip nicely, and I'm hoping that this little tiny bit of black won't really be affected, and the overlay from the other coats will just sort of bite in and hold it all together. So let's do a little bit of backpedaling and get some 1000 grit wet and dry and sand down some of this clear plastic. And there we are. The orange is done. Just like that. Unfortunately, using the green frog tape didn't produce the cleanest mask around the top here. So note to self, the green frog tape isn't very good under these circumstances, but that can be cleaned up easily enough. Okay, right, let's mask up. Ready for the blue. And there you go, all masked up, all ready for the light blue. Now the reason why I've screwed them to this piece of wood is because I want the blue to fade up into the top here. So if I keep them on a nice straight plane, as I come in with my airbrush and waft in from the top down, I can try and keep that fade line exactly the same on both halves of the shell. So let's get on with some blue. Okay, so like any project that I've never done before, it's always a little bit of a trial and error process. And my idea was to fade this blue somewhere around here so it went from blue to clear. And I suppose, predictably, the fade wasn't particularly good. And what's happened is it's all fogged up across the top and it doesn't look very good when you peel away the masking tape. So what I've done is I've taken some paint renovator on a little cotton earbud or a Q-tip, and I've polished away all the overspray up here and just tried to leave a bit of a fade across here, which is kind of, yeah, okay, I suppose. But I think in hindsight, having put the internals in and seeing what you can see through this top portion here, there's enough of the controller to see through there quite comfortably to be able to put a hard line across the top of all these louvers and just run the blue hard line straight across there and leave the top completely clear. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to polish up all this, run a masking liner across there, take the blue hard line across the top, and then move on to the next stage of doing the white roundel. And I think if I put a hard line across there, when I take off the tape here to put the white roundel on, I can literally go from top to bottom in white to back all this in white to make it give a bit more vibrancy and catch the roundel at the same time, rather than trying to fade the white to match the blue, which wasn't really happening. So let's crack on with that. So my mother once told me, do something simple well, not something complicated badly. And I think this is a classic example. Nice straight line as opposed to a very difficult fade. Right, let's get some blue on. And there we are, 2 Gulf liveried DS shells, all ready for reassembly. I think the hard line on the blue was the right call in the end. It looks a lot cleaner rather than some convoluted fade. So let's get this thing back together again. Okay, good time to stop. I've added this piece of paracord through this extra hole that was already in the controller on a slip knot, looped it around the mounting post, and the knot itself pulls against the bottom of the plastic as well. And the piece of cord is just a little bit shorter than the actual cable, so that when the controller is plugged into a layout and the controller falls off the hanging hook for the controllers, the controller doesn't smack into the floor, or it doesn't yank tight on the cable and swing from the cable. It'll pull on the paracord first and then save the cable and the strain inside the cable. And all I've done is I've gathered up the extra cable inside the controller, and it's still looped around these anti-slip bars or whatever they're called, so it's still well supported, and I haven't cut the cable or done anything. And if I want to extend this paracord, all I've got to do is undo the back of the plug, change it, or make it shorter even, because it's just a knot all balled up beneath the clamping plate inside this plug. That's all it is, just tied up in a knot and then clamped in just behind the cable as it goes in. So let's carry on, let's get this back on. And there it is, the customization of my DS controller. And of course you can use any racing livery or any livery at all. You could do Rothmans or Red Bull or Marlboro, JPS, anything you want, anything that takes your fancy, all totally customizable. And the process is actually pretty easy. And because you're painting on the inside, there's no blemishes on the outside, it's just perfect. So it's quite easy to do. The only thing you've got to think about is all the little fittings on the inside that just get in the way of the design. You've got to think your way around that. Other than that, it's very easy to do, very rewarding, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So, if you've enjoyed this sort of content, maybe you'll subscribe. And if you hit the little bell button, that'll be awesome. So until the next time, thank you very much. And there you are, 2 Gulf liveried and there you are, 2 Gulf and there you are, 2 Gulf liveried DS shells, all done. I think it does look better. And there we are, 2 Gulf liveried DS shells, all ready for reassembly. I think the hard line